Hello and welcome to the AppleInsider Podcast. This is your host, Wes Hilliard speaking. I'm joined once again by William Gallagher, and our sponsors this week are Copilot Money, Squarespace, and Tempo. We're going to get into it this week. There's a lot of little topics, nothing too crazy going on as we prepare for February as we get towards Apple's big Apple Intelligence releases. But we did finally get Apple Creator Studio, and Apple snuck out an AirTag update. So all of that will be covered. But first, Apple Insider Plus is going to be discussing Apple's responsibility when it comes to Sherlocking features and services. Is it really its job to take care of other businesses in light of this current lawsuit with Camo, the app suing Apple over continuity camera? I don't know if we'll get into that in the show, but that is the post-show content. If you subscribe to Apple Insider Plus, of course, you get that after show and an ad-free experience. So stick around for that. William, how are you doing today?
Oh, I am delighted and perplexed, and I managed to break Creator Studio. I'm all over the place, but absolutely riveted by Pixelmator Pro on the iPad with my Apple Pencil, except in 24 hours, I have lost my Apple Pencil 3 times and found it twice. It's here somewhere. That's how I am.
So you need to get a Apple Pencil bracelet attachment
Yes.
or something.
Yes. A lanyard with well,
some sort of holster.
If only you could, attach it to your iPad in some magnetic way. That'd be good.
I got it. Guys, I'm going to patent this. I'm going to go make it and make $1 million. It was one of those badge clips that clip to your shirt, but it's retractable, and then it just zips back to your chest every time you're done using it.
Okay, so stung into your throat if you're not careful. Okay.
Forget useless devices that's probably going to make nobody any money. Apple made all of the money, as usual. Earnings is out. We're not going to get into it. This was a record-breaking quarter, as Apple predicted previously. They said this was going to be their greatest quarter ever. Go look on Apple Insider's website. We got into the details there. But today, we're going to focus on earlier this week, which was the AirTag. Apple calls it the AirTag second generation. It's not the AirTag 2 as far as parlance goes. We're going to just stick with AirTag because, I don't know. Apple does this weird naming stuff. In the future, it could come out with an AirTag 2, or they'll call it AirTag 3 or new AirTag. Who knows? But it's simply just AirTag. But William, how do you feel about this news? Do you care at all about this new device?
I'm a little conflicted about it. My first thought was because the difference is that it's louder, you can hear it from slightly further away, and precision finding works from slightly, which, correct me if I'm wrong, when I leave it in my car, the AirTag, the first part is just general maps taking me to roughly where it is, and then when I get quite close, it switches to that hazy screen that eventually becomes an arrow and then tells you you're 5 feet near and all that stuff. And the fact that you can do that from slightly further away, that appeals to me particularly because the one failing I keep finding with AirTags is in UK car parks, partly because they're often underground and really thick walls, partly because iPhone usage is less in the UK, I think, than the US proportionally. It struggles. It can get me to the car park and then not really any further. So I still wonder whether this will be any better. But then also there's an issue. What you just said then about the name, it's just being called an AirTag. I know if I go to an Apple store or Apple online and I buy an AirTag now, it will be the new one. But if I go to Amazon, I see no way of knowing if it's the new or running out of stocks of the old. So I'm not sure.
It'll be labeled. At the very least, Apple keeps on top of its Amazon listings. The biggest problem you're going to run into is if you walk into a physical like Target and walk to an AirTag, you're going to have to check the box for second generation because Apple's plain white packaging is not going to be very forthright there. But yeah, overall, this looks like an interesting update. I'm kind of glad that it's finally here and it's not this gigantic whoop-de-doo. It's a necessary device in their lineup. I think it's actually been really interesting, especially with their luggage updates and being able to have their location shared with airports and everything. Anyone who travels knows that luggage with AirTags get treated a little differently than without these days, because they just don't want the hassle of the person saying, "But I know where it is."
So wait, how do baggage handlers know which? Because I mean, I obviously hide my AirTag inside because I figure they'll fall off
I,
and stuff.
Not so
Yeah,
much
they're
the
just
baggage
guessing.
handler,
Oh,
more
right.
so if you walk up to a desk and say, "Hey, my luggage is missing and it has an AirTag," they
Oh,
scoot
I
to get it.
see.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Instead of leaving it on the tarmac for 4 hours and lying about it being lost.
Right.
Anyway, beyond airline stuff, AirTag 2, it's got we won't call it the U2 processor because legal reasons, apparently. It's the ultra wideband 2 chip inside of there, second generation. It allows for further away precise finding. So it's basically within 50 feet on the original AirTag, now 200 feet. That's 15
Oh,
meters and 60 meters for the other system that nobody cares about. So,
I didn't appreciate it was that big a difference. That's great.
yeah, 200 feet's quite a lot. So, 4 times as much. This means that the little arrow fuzzy thing is going to show up sooner. I think that's very important, especially like you say in a parking lot but I mean, it depends on what you're trying to find, right? So they also went in and glued the speaker down in a way that's going to be harder to remove, and you'll pretty much break it trying to get the speaker out. I think I figured that out.
Right. Good.
It's also much louder. I think has a new chime as well. That's easier to hear, twice as loud in the casing. They redesigned the casing to allow that sound to escape easier. So lots of little things here, but it's the same design, same exact thing. The accessories all still fit. And yeah, I don't know. It's an AirTag 2. If you have 15 of these things, you don't have to go buy 15 new ones. The AirTag is going to continue working fine. This isn't one of those things that's going to just run out of software updates. I'm pretty sure they're just going to work forever. I don't know how you break an AirTag other than chewing on it. The one thing I will say is if you have a set of keys, go upgrade. Upgrade your keys to AirTag 2 because then you can find it better, right? But if you have an AirTag on a bicycle or a piece of
Right.
luggage,
Yeah.
maybe not as necessary because that is a giant thing and that precision finding is less necessary because you can physically see it with your eyeballs, right? So use your better discretion, but going forward, it'll be this product and yeah, interesting.
Have you ever had any problems changing the batteries on these things?
No, but I will say that the screwing mechanism is annoying. It's kind of spring loaded and kind of fights
Yeah.
you sometimes. Yeah.
I bought a pack of 4 once, and I changed when it came around. Changed the batteries. I changed 3 of them. Fine. Couldn't get the last one in. I even went into an Apple store, handed it over to them, and they handed it back to me instantly. Opened like I was an old man who couldn't cope. And I've just done 3. Give me a break here. But yes. Also,
It's
I
like
keep
trying to
getting the
open
battery inside out. Yes.
yeah, that you always have to pay attention to the battery. I never remember which side goes
No.
which way. I will say that I mean, obviously all the rumors were dumb. We keep hearing about like MagSafe compatible or Apple Watch charger compatible AirTag, and that would just make it so complex and so much
Yeah.
bigger that it's not going to happen. I've seen some interesting products that are Apple Find My that recharge like via MagSafe and stuff. So that's all fun, but um, I think the simplicity and the price of AirTag makes it just a very good quality device. And people are like, "Where's Apple's card thing?" And I don't think that's necessary. Um, you don't necessarily need to put an entire AirTag in your wallet. There's so many wallets with built-in Find My. My current wallet is the size and shape of Apple's MagSafe wallet, but it has Find My, not the fake Find My where it remembers where it was last attached, but it has actual Find My built into it, and that's really nice. And it's rechargeable via little pogo pins, which is annoying that it's its own charger, but still very easy to maintain. I don't think Apple needs to release that, but in the future, it would be nice to see maybe not so much a card, but real Find My in a wallet, and that wallet then recharging over MagSafe. That would be
Mm.
I would design if I was Apple.
I'm trying to remember. I do actually take cards out with me. I have this really cute little wallet that's done in the shape of a Mac folder. It's great, and I carry it because I like it more than I ever use it. Here in the UK, everything can be done on the watch. There's just every contactless thing works here, so just
you
don't
still
ever
need some
it.
sort of identification, correct?
I suppose depending on the things you buy, but I obviously look older than 21, so that doesn't come up a lot.
Yeah, the U.S. has a law requiring even if you're 90 to be carded. So,
really,
yeah, it doesn't matter. I know it's probably looser elsewhere, but here, some people don't care. Technically, you can get fired if you don't card someone, especially at liquor stores or restaurants.
right.
But I'll still sit down from time to time and not get carded. But yeah, generally speaking, you have to be carded in the U.S. and carrying an ID is a requirement to purchase any liquor. Now, I mean, I'd rather have it on me than not need it, but yes, that's
Sure.
just it's one of those things you pretty much have to have it. I look forward to the day, if ever, that I get to use my phone as a digital wallet and just show or tap something to prove I'm over 21. But
It's just an aside. Every now and again, for some reason, and truly who knows why, if I use visual intelligence, it comes up and saying, you can only use ChatGPT if you're over 13. I don't know why it suddenly decides to tell me that and won't work till I try it again, but okay.
So I will say the AirTag 2 is fine. AirTag, whatever we want to call it. It's fine. It's a good update. No need for fanfare. Some people are like, ooh, we're going to get Macs this week. Didn't happen. Just one piece of hardware thrown out there. No Apple TVs, no HomePods. We'll see. We got a lot of time left before the end of the spring season, which is where Apple releases these types of products. I will say, though, it's always fun talking about things like Wallet because it's kind of like optimizing for an obsolete product. The whole point of like Apple's digital wallet ecosystem is to get rid of the wallet. And here we are talking about Apple innovating in physical wallets. So that's kind of why I think Apple isn't bothering, because the ultimate goal is to not have people carry wallets, even though that's a very ambitious goal that has to have government backing and probably just it's not going to happen anytime soon.
Actually, this reminds me, a couple months ago, I was saying, it would have been over Christmas and various birthdays around here. I was suddenly using Apple Wallet on the iPhone for tracking orders, and I was astounded that I'd never noticed before it did. It's right there. I mean, it's hidden under the ellipses, but now if I go into my Apple Wallet, even though I have various orders outstanding, there is no order category at all. So it just wasn't presenting before. I'm not as blind as I thought I was. So.
Well, yeah, that's not get off topic. That is the frustrating thing about that feature, because it is an excellent feature. It auto-populates from mail. Of course, it has to be an Apple Mail. Gmail doesn't count. But it makes mistakes. I'll buy things on the PlayStation, a video game console, digital media, and it'll say your order is pending in the Apple Wallet, and as if it's going to be a delivery. Right. So that detection isn't always perfect, but you can just clear that, and that's fine. I'd rather it make that mistakes and miss something. But Amazon packages, things that you just buy in general, are all tracked there. UPS, USPS, doesn't matter. Shows up in Apple Wallet. And what's nice, though, even though it is hidden in an ellipsis, which is annoying, if there is any changes to your transaction, like a pending delivery, it shows up in Notification Center. And if you open the Wallet app, it pops up as a toaster above the cards. So it's very assertive with it if there's anything that needs to be seen. But if you want to go find it manually, yes, it's behind an ellipsis, and I think that's very dumb. But moving on, we have a lot to talk about with Apple Creator Studio. So this all launched as we record yesterday. We've barely had time to play with it. I had a full shift to play with this. William, how's it going? You're a video guy. You're an audio guy. You've got a lot of uses for this stuff.
I do. I'm a little bit all over the place because I think the rollout was really strange. I mean, this morning as we record it, if you were on the Mac and you went to the Mac App Store and searched for Apple Creator Studio, you got nothing. Unless you clicked on the section that says just show me iPhone and iPad results. Then you got the whole thing nicely presented, all this stuff. A few hours later as we record, Mac App Store, same search. Now you get Apple Creator Studio on the Mac bit, but not when you go into the iPhone, iPad thing. And you were getting results sooner than I was. It's like the rollout was so strange. I actually contacted Apple and asked them, and they insisted, no, it's all fine. It's just a bit busy. That's what they said. And okay, but I don't remember a rollout of operating systems being this weird. And it got to a point where it seemed like you had to just know that Final Cut Pro was one. And when you went into that, it would show you the rest. Or whichever one you went into, you got the lot. But then also, I mean, I've now got the lot. I can't remember which app I was in now. I think I was updating Pages. It led me to all of them. I got the nice list. But two of them, it would have been Motion and Compressor, had an extra get in-app purchases next to them, even though it knew I was subscribed to the rest. And, sorry, just get all the components out in one go. At one point, about an hour ago now, as I was trying to do something in Pixelmator Pro quickly, it told me Pixelmator Pro could not be opened. I had to try quitting it, relaunching it, and then suddenly it worked. So there's something weird. Plus, I have loads of Stream Deck buttons to do all sorts of things. And of course, they're opening up the wrong versions of the apps now. And certain keystrokes aren't the same. And wow, this is a whinge. Can I spin it around and say that apart from all that, I think it's great and nothing better than Pixelmator Pro on the iPad, which I know must be the thing you tried first because you've wanted that for years, haven't you? You've got it now. Are you happy?
Oh yeah, no, Pixelmator Pro is great, especially on iPad. I mean, I've loved it on the Mac. I've used it on the Mac because it was the only place that you could, and every time I did, I was just reminded of like what was missing from the other apps like Photomator or Affinity, and I'm glad to see it pretty much fully featured on iPad. I mean, I'm not aware of anything that's missing. I'm sure someone can tell me, but it's great. The design is well done. I like how everything is situated. Everything gets out of the way. Liquid Glass actually does a lot of good work here because now the content kind of bleeds through the background of some of the toolbars and units like that. It's all just very nicely done.
Like you, I haven't seen anything actually missing from the two versions of Pixelmator Pro. In fact, actually, the opposite. There are new features now on both of them. Like the new warping tool is amazing. Just seeing what you can do with that. But I am seeing differences. Like there's an oddity with the Content Hub. That's available in Pages, Numbers, Keynote, all that sort of stuff. But it isn't in Pixelmator Pro. There's nothing at all to stop you. I mean, contractually, as part of your subscription, to load up an image in Pages, copy it, and paste it into Pixelmator Pro. Except when I was doing that earlier, I went into the wrong Pixelmator Pro, and I got the image with loads of Apple Creator Studio watermarks all over it and things. So when I've got rid of the old ones, these will be done. But I don't know why that feature isn't in everything. I mean, we've got Image Playground where we don't want it. Why not Content Hub?
Yeah, I don't know what Apple's doing there. Clearly, there's got to be some licensing thing because Pages, Keynote, and Numbers, they feel different as far as creative apps. They're useful. They create slideshows. But Pixelmator Pro feels more like this is going to create an output that could be used for business. And I think that changes the licensing maybe. And there's got to be some weird legal reason for that. Maybe it's going to come to Pixelmator Pro later. Maybe they just have time to squeeze it in after doing all this interface stuff. I will note Pixelmator Pro has a lot of great templates, but they do have a devices template, which was in the Mac version, but it still shows the old iPads, the iPhone 16 and 16,
Right.
and only the Apple Watch Ultra. Like it's missing things, and it doesn't have the modern devices. But I really hope that's something Apple adds to it, and that's something we can discuss in the after show too. Is like what parts of this is going to get Sherlocked, or what parts of this is being Sherlocked, Sherlocking other Apples. I'm sorry, my goodness. What parts of Pixelmator Pro and these other apps are Sherlocking previously, easily available third-party apps, right? Like I'm looking at a device framing app that I use, that I really share shot that I really like, and I'm going to keep using it because honestly, it has all of the devices and a lot of options. It's a very good UI. It's very simple to take that, create my image, export it as a PNG, transparent, open Pixelmator as a new project, super resolution it so it fits in a 4K screen better, and then add it to that project. But I wouldn't mind removing the middleman, but nothing against share shot. But this is one of those things we'll get into in the after show of feature versus product, and I feel like this could very easily be a better made feature, especially since it's Apple. Like, they have access to all of these assets. And I will note the one thing that I really like about the device frame assets in Pixelmator Pro is that it's layered. It has like a screen layer, a buttons layer, and then it has a built-in widget for replacing the display with a different image. Like, all of that's very clever, and I think that Apple could build on that. And alternatively, I wonder if others could build templates that can be submitted that people could download and add to their Pixelmator library. I think that would be really interesting for someone to work on. But yeah, overall, I'm very happy with Pixelmator Pro. I'm using it with a trackpad on an external monitor on through my iPad Pro, and it's so functional, so useful.
I should say, just in case people don't go around taking many screenshots, what we've just been describing there is you take a screenshot of your iPhone, your iPad, or whatever it is, and Pixelmator Pro has versions of the device that you can put that screenshot into. Everybody seems to love that, and my thinking is just, I know what the phone looks like. I just want to see which button you try and tell me to press, so I'm less concerned about it.
Yeah, I think the thing here is these you don't necessarily need it so much for Mac screenshots because they're they're landscape. They're going to be around 16 by 9, 16 by 10, so they'll easily fit within our website's format. But an iPhone is tall, and it's harder to represent without just having a vertical cutout in a 16 by 9 square. So I think people like beautifying their screenshots using these frames. I used to have an app on Mac that was really cool. It had like these angular frames and would automatically stretch and skew screenshots to fit these alternate angle views. That was part of the MacPaw lineup of apps, and obviously I don't have it anymore. I wish I had something similar to it on iPad, but I can do without. It's just device framing. It makes it stand out because anyone can take a screenshot and set it into like a 16 by 9 image and throw it on a website. What sets it apart is taking the time to put it in a frame and create a background that makes it stand out. And I do this for a lot of things. Like I was creating images yesterday for Apple Health and had a screenshot from the Apple Watch and put it in an Apple Watch Ultra frame and put it by the iPhone on a gradient background. And it looks great. Like it's obviously not an Apple PR image because Apple uses white for their background, so it still looks like an image that we created. But also photographing that same image would take a lot of time and setup and editing, and you would get a similar result. But what's the point? Like, you get some depth to it, and that's great. And there have been situations where a photograph of the phone with the image is better to use. I've seen you do that a lot.
Yeah, I think
I think that's the better way to go. But in a pinch, I think software screenshots are just fine and framing them that way. And people are used to seeing them that way because of the App Store and stuff like that. So I don't think it's that unusual.
No, one thing I also do, they're actually not for AppleInsider, so why am I telling you this? But my 58 Gigs YouTube channel, if I'm showing a lot of things on the iPhone, I will go through the whole process, screen record a lot, and then just pop the phone on a charger, run the screen recording, and film that. And I have had people ask me, how are you pushing the buttons without touching the screen? And you can't tell people, it ruins the magic, but yeah, I like it. Anyway, so we were talking about the device frames and things, and you're very persuasive there. I will do it more. But
I will say Pixelmator Pro as an app, right? Because I've been using Affinity forever. So I've got a good idea of these UI paradigms. I've used Photoshop ages ago, like a
Same.
decade ago. But the thing with Pixelmator Pro versus these other apps, and I haven't used Logic or Final Cut because they're outside of my wheelhouse. I want to experiment with them, but it's just I don't really have anything to put in them.
Right.
But Pixelmator is definitely where I live, and Photomator is still useful. What's interesting is between the two, pretty much all of Photomator is in Pixelmator Pro. The difference being Photomator is basically much faster to get from I have an image that needs edited, like a hue, saturation, lighting, like LUT level editing style. Go in, click a photo, do that editing, export is going to be much faster through Photomator versus Pixelmator,
Right.
create new image, then do the same edits. And it's not that much different, but I don't mind keeping both apps around because it's like a paradigm shift. Like if I'm here, I'm doing this versus if I'm here, I'm doing that. Right. Anyway, Pixelmator Pro, I think people who are just now trying it out, who don't know, everything you think should be there is there. It's just kind of hidden in the very Apple style, right? Like one of the things I noticed was I want to be able to granularly select things using the color picker tool. So there's a select option, and you go to, okay, select area by color, and you get a little eyedropper. And if you just click on a color, it'll select everything near that color that's the same color, and that's how you can like remove backgrounds from images very easily. The background removal tool is great. It's a one-click background removal, but it isn't always perfect. So being able to manually select the background using the selection tool is great. But there's a tolerance. You can say, okay, I want you to select this color, but only if it matches it within a 3% threshold, a 10% threshold. How do you set that threshold? You click and drag the eyedropper, and then it changes the threshold, and then you let go, and then it selects it, right?
It's amazing, yes.
Yes, that's different. Normal other apps, you have a slider that you select the threshold and then just click. So stuff like that is everywhere in this app. I'm discovering more every day, but just keep an eye out for all of those menu options, all those floating windows, and I'm sure this is going to change over time, but I don't mind it. It's just, it's different. It's something to learn.
This episode is brought to you by Copilot Money. Now, I've mentioned before my adventures with money. That sounds so bad. I just mean, here in the UK, there's a new Making Tax Digital program coming in that I have to comply with. But since I last mentioned that, you should see the online, the TV, the billboard ads here for all sorts of firms selling something or other to help those of us who now have to comply with the new program. And that's all good. I'm not knocking anyone who's teaching us how to comply, but what I found to be absolutely key, the core single thing, is that I've now got to be much more vigilant with all of my finances, and worse, vigilant all the time. I now have to report tax every 3 months instead of panicking once a year. And you know where this is going. Copilot Money, it's a finance app that helps all of us be in control of our money. And that's whether you're required to, like I am here, or because we're just normal human beings and money is hard. Copilot Money's developers recognize that we're all different. Different in what we have to do, yeah. Different, of course, in what we spend our money on, but also different in simply how we regard finances. Copilot Money, it's comprehensive, but it is entirely customizable. You can use the elements that you need and not be overwhelmed by countless options that just don't apply to you. Copilot Money is easy to use, easy to customize, and so much so that it is an Apple Design Awards finalist. With Copilot Money, you can monitor accounts and set up savings goals and do it across the Mac, the iPhone, the iPad, and the web. I used to put off finances until I got back. I'll do it in the Mac, in my office when I get there. So, yeah, you know how that went. But with Copilot Money, if you think of something you need to add, well, you just reach for your nearest device, whatever it is, wherever you are. And while, you would expect entering your transactions to be quick and easy, Copilot Money also then takes what you enter and uses AI to just automatically categorize everything. So you see where your money is going. Try Copilot Money free with a 1-month trial on iPhone, iPad, Mac, and web. Plus, for a limited time, you can get 2 months free when you sign up at copilot.money/AppleInsider and use the code AppleInsider at checkout. That's copilot.money/AppleInsider and the code AppleInsider. New users only, web only. Your money beautifully organised now across every device. And thank you to Copilot Money for supporting the Apple Insider podcast. Something, because you said you don't use Final Cut Pro and Logic Pro. Final Cut Pro, it's added some amazing warp tools, just like Pixelmator Pro, really well, in theory. It's also got background processing. So you finish your video, you want to export it. Yeah, up until yesterday, as we record this, you had to leave your iPad open and running while it did its doings. And now, although actually I haven't tried it out yet, you can go away to another app. So that's great. But it's still not exactly the same. You can't split a video audio track into two. The best you can do is duplicate the track and then disable the video on one, disable the audio on the other if you want to move things around, which is pointless, really, given how easy it is on the Mac version. And then Logic Pro, I found there is just a couple of little tiny bits that are very useful that aren't in the iPad one, but otherwise it's fantastic on the iPad. And one of the big bonuses for me is I spent all this time considering I'd subscribed to Final Cut Pro on the iPad. Did I also subscribe to Logic? Could I justify it when I have it on the Mac already? Now it's like the decision's been taken away from me. I've got it. It's on this piece of glass and it's brilliant. So for all my complaining about little tiny bits, I'm ecstatic that we've got all of this.
Yeah. Freeform's coming to Apple Creator Studio in the future. It's not here yet. Pages number Keynote got those updates, but the apps are still free. I'm seeing some pushback around the internet saying they don't want to update to the new version because they're afraid it's going to change. These apps still work the same as they always did. I think you might get hit with a toaster somewhere saying Apple Creator Studio exists, but once you dismiss it, it goes away. I don't know. I think it's fine that these apps got freemium or premium upgrades through Apple Creator Studio. It's something I've mentioned before, but this is a complex topic. But very simply, you deserve nothing. You're not entitled to anything. We live in a world determined by monetary value, and if you're not willing to spend, you're not going to get it. It's just how it works. Gone are the days that you could walk into a store and buy software, but the problem is people have already forgotten that once you buy that box software, it's immediately obsolete because you take it home, you install it, and then there's in the next year or so, you're going to get an OS update that breaks something about that software, and you have to go back to the store, spend $300 more, and maybe pray that there's some sort of exchange program, which there never was. So you end up spending that same amount of money every few years. Yes, you get to own the software, but you never really owned it because the only way to keep it working was to not upgrade your computer. And then now you're operating on an old operating system with old features and missing vulnerability and security updates just to make sure that the thing you bought at Walmart still works, right? So things have changed. Apps require continuous development because we're getting continuous updates, and every update could potentially break an app. But continuous updates require people, which requires money, and you have to pay for it, right? So I'm kind of honestly tired of hearing the subscription bad thing because it as much as it's not ideal for customers, I will say it is net negative. Customers are now spending more money on software versus one-time purchase. That is not the argument I'm making. The argument I'm making is we have to feed developers and keep them alive so they can continue developing apps. we have to give them money. Otherwise, we don't get these things. I don't understand why that's such a controversial, complicated concept. But
I don't think I could possibly agree with you more if I tried. But you have brought up something else that does bother me, even though I think things are infinitely better now. But before Creator Studio came out, when there would be an update to Pages or Keynote or whatever, next time you open the app, it would say, oh, you can go to the App Store and get a new version. And you'd go, yeah, whatever, now, later, something. And today and yesterday, I found going into Pages and Numbers, it's a different message. It actually says this version will no longer be updated.
Mhm.
Go to the App Store to get the new one. Now, you can again postpone it, and they do mean the new version of the free app. But maybe it's because this is the way it was rolling out. When I hit that, okay, go to the App Store, I went to the Creator Studio version. In fact, that's actually how I got my first Creator Studio app for it. So I think if you know you don't have a need for Creator Studio, you've still got to be careful what you do and what you're clicking on.
Well, okay, so here's the thing, though. I think Apple wanted to have a hard switch for Creative Studio to make sure that people, for whatever their reasons, personal, business, whatever, need to hold on to these old versions, have the option to hold on to those old versions. And because honestly, I think it would have been worse to have just updated everyone and not give anyone the opportunity to downgrade or have the other apps. Apple made this clear when they announced this, that these are distinctive apps, but that does not mean Pages Keynote numbers are going to no longer be free. The new versions are still free, and they will still be operated outside of Creative Studio. They will just contain language within the apps and be displayed on the Creative Studio page when you go to get them. But when you're using the app, you will not be required to have Creative Studio to access them. Yes, maybe it might be frustrating if you're not subscribing to see, hey, there's this thing where you get these templates and AI features or whatever if you upgrade. I don't think it's going to be in your face. It's not going to be like you're editing a page and then it shows up as an ad inside of the toolbar or something. Like, it's not how. It's just, it's going to pop up as a toaster every now and then. I think it's going to be in like the settings menu. I haven't checked this out on Mac or whatever, but obviously I'm subscribing, so I'm not going to get these anyway. But if it's like Apple's other areas where they do this kind of thing, it's not going to be that obtrusive, and these apps are going to continue being free. So don't worry about that.
I would agree with you, and I actually expect even just a few more hours, I will agree with you. When this rollout is sorted and the oddities have gone, then I expect it will be clearer. And I have no problem with seeing there's a free and there's a paid one. I'm in the free one, I click the button, it takes me to the subscription one.
It wouldn't be a paid one.
Be wrong.
That's
the thing is, it was for me. So that part of the rollout was wrong, and I could see other things that have been fixed, so I expect it will change. But I thought that was one of the poorer parts of Creative Studio's design.
This is where I'm confused, because you click it and it takes you to the App Store. Is it still not a Get button?
I honestly can't remember now, but it wasn't. There were not two versions of it. It was only the one where you get subscription.
And I think maybe I'm not being clear. That is how it's going to be. There's only going to be the Apple Creator Studio option. There isn't going to be a second option to download. The legacy version that you have on your Mac right now that's telling you, hey, you need to go update to this new version, that will no longer be in the Mac App Store. That is...
no, hang on. If Apple is maintaining these apps in the free version, they should be available. It shouldn't route through to somewhere else, should it?
Those old versions are no longer. That's what it said. It's not being updated anymore. No.
The unusual thing of the message was that it said this version is not being updated, but Apple is updating the free version of Pages. The version of Pages, the free one, has been updated in the last couple of days. So in the free one, clicking
there was
that
some confusion.
Should have taken me to it. I think the rollout was ridiculously poor for reasons like this. Well, and that will sort out.
Yeah, to be clear about the rollout, nobody actually, I don't think anyone really cares about how software is rolled out. We've seen Apple Sports and invites and things like this. I'm mentioning this now.
I'm sorry. No, I'm going to disagree here, because yesterday you would search for Apple Creator Studio. That's what I'm getting to. You wouldn't get it.
Yeah, so, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, people care.
No, that's a point. I'm trying to make. Nerds care, because we knew it was coming and immediately wanted to download it the second it came out. Apple does this with everything. When Sports was launching, when these invites when these other apps were launching and becoming available, we've seen this every single time of, do you have it yet? Do you have it yet? No. It's a slow rollout, and it's phased to make sure server load isn't overwhelmed by people like us who are rushing out to get it the second it comes out. And it took time. I think by the evening it was fully rolled out globally, and I was not seeing as many complaints.
No, it still isn't. Right here in the UK, the results are wrong. So this is...
Well, I mean, the App Store
is
a different conversation. Because the App Store results being botched is a separate situation from the rollout being complete. Hang
on. Apple pushes, we've got a new Apple Creator Studio. You get your apps through the App Store, but the App Store does not return a result for Apple Creator Studio. I care about that, and I agree. I went there the first second, but it's been 24, 30 hours now. Yes. Still wrong for it. And I don't just mean it wasn't there. I mean, it was wrong. Right now, you do this and you get the result, but you do that and you don't. And those two things have changed in the last few hours. So this is not just traffic. They have done something odd here. And I understand, because there's like 9 or 10 apps involved in it, that it's much more complicated than one rollout. And then, 8, 9 versions that are free or paid for are immensely complicated, but it hasn't done well. I just do think after a while, it'll be easier. This episode is brought to you by Squarespace. You know this already. Squarespace, it's been around forever. It's the all-in-one website platform powering countless sites recommended by everyone. But if you think of it as an easy way to make website, well, you're right, aren't you? But until you're actually using it, I think you may well not appreciate that really it's an entire platform designed to help you stand out and succeed online. And that's true whether you're just starting out, whether you're growing and scaling your business, or whether, well, actually like me, you're looking to just, do the web better. Right now, I'm working on moving my old website to Squarespace and frankly playing with all of its great designs to see what I like. And I think now, actually, just for me, what's best about Squarespace is the cutting edge design. I'm kind of spoilt for choice. And the thing is, every option I try looks so much better than I have currently. Plus, Squarespace gives you everything you need to claim your domain, showcase your offerings with a professional website, grow your brand, and get paid all in one place. Later in this week's episode, I'm going to mention that I do now have videos on TikTok, but the thing is, I don't have those on my website, and I must add them. Squarespace makes it easy to do that, to directly upload and organize any videos, and even monetize that content by adding a paywall. But then there's also email campaigns you or I could be using to promote our businesses or ourselves. There are analytics that tell you everything that actually I used to never bother checking, but now can so easily tell me what is and what is not working on my website, what is and what is not getting read. Listen, just head to squarespace.com/AppleInsider for a free trial. And then, when you're ready to launch, use the offer code AppleInsider to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. And thanks to Squarespace for supporting the Apple Insider podcast.
Yeah, I think that this will all come together and make sense. There will be an ad on Apple's website that you click that takes you to an App Store page that has the Apple Creator Studio. To be clear, there is an Apple Creator Studio page in the App Store. It is not easy to find. I don't know if they're even advertising it on the front page of the App Store yet. There doesn't appear to be an Apple News or an Apple Today tab store yet either. So that's kind of the point I'm trying to make is Apple's done this in the past of having more of a soft launch, and when they're ready, they're going to maybe tomorrow, as we record Friday, there will be an Apple Today page in the App Store and a bunch of flags on the front page of Apple Creator Studios here, right? None of that is out yet, and that's kind of my argument I'm making is, yes, it was available as of Wednesday, and I agree with you, maybe the rollout from our perspective isn't that great, but maybe this is just, I don't know, maybe this is just what it takes to get this kind of rollout done with all of these different app bundles and identifiers and update changes and all of that stuff. And then once it's all complete, that's when they'll roll out the public facing, here's an ad in TikTok for the Creative Studio with a link to the App Store that lets you get the subscription, right? Because that's what you're talking about is right now, if you are a person who knows about Creative Studio and wants to get it, there's not an obvious way to do so. And I agree with you. That's dumb. But I also agree that this will shake itself out. And this is maybe Apple being as big and rich a company as it is, maybe it's weird to say like, oh, why are they having these problems? They shouldn't they be able to solve them? But maybe this is just how this kind of stuff goes. I don't know. But maybe I'm just going easy on them. But anyway,
I'm just going hard. Okay,
yeah.
Between us, there's something right there.
There's somewhere in there. But yeah, my point is outside of our sphere, it's not that big a deal. And once you have it, you have it. It's not like the apps are broken or anything. But I agree, the rollout could have been better. Why announce a rollout? Why announce a date and not have that be the launch day? Because that's the kind of the point I'm making. It hasn't launched. Go to apple.com. It's not there.
Although there is on Apple's website a page all about Creator Studio, and it was saying available 28th of January. And I noticed it was saying that until basically the 29th of January UK time. So it's now just taking the date away, like available now, but it doesn't have a link to where you would go. Yeah.
See, Apple has their webpage updated for Valentine's Day. Which changed since yesterday because I was on here and it wasn't here. So, the main apple.com website does not have anything about Creative Studio. And you go to the Apple Store website, where they want to take your money. There is not a mention of Creative Studio. It's not on the App Store front page. The only place I've seen it pushed by Apple is in my email. I got it in the inbox of, hey, this exists.
Oh, I didn't get that. Interesting. No, hang on. They're pushing Valentine's Day already. I mean, I've booked my Valentine's Day dinner. I thought I'm getting ahead here, but it's 2 weeks away or more?
Easter candy's been in the stores since like December 27th. So
okay. Right.
Moving on. So we're going to get into Apple Creative Studio infinitely here. It's a good setup. I'm excited to see it evolve. I hope more apps come to it. I hope more features get announced for it. I think the Apple Intelligence push we're going to see in the spring is actually going to bring more features to Apple Creator Studio. Image Playground is hilariously, stupidly implemented in it. I love that I can generate a terrible image of myself and insert it as an image into a thing and like remove the background. I don't know what that's going to be for. Maybe I'll make Tim Cook yell at something. I don't know, but like it's just very silly. But moving on, Apple design. I wanted this as a kind of a subtopic because we got information from internal at Apple. John Ternus is taking over the design team. This hasn't been officially announced by Apple, but apparently this is to get him in front of more divisions to let him as he's prepping for CEO. Do you have any opinions about this?
Oh, I see. I didn't appreciate that. Of course, I mean, I heard John Turner's design team. We knew Alan Dye was leaving, so somebody had to go into it. And we also separately keep hearing John Turner is likely to be the next CEO. But it never occurred to me that he was being groomed by putting in front of different departments. Actually, yeah, that makes sense, especially if that happens to be an area he hasn't worked in before. That's clever, actually.
Well, if we follow the history here, after I've left and we got rid of that C-suite executive position for design, and then what was his name? You just said it. He
Alan
just left.
Dye.
Alan Dye. Yeah, I've already forgotten him. He's
it's harsh. Okay.
Yeah, he left Apple, leaving that position kind of vacant, but not really, because someone already did replace him, whose name I am not remembering names today. Someone's already replaced him, and the thing is the design team since I've left has been reporting to either an SVP or Cook himself. So this isn't unusual that that's the case, but it is just once again. Right, Jeff Williams was the previous one. Who was so the chain was design team Jeff Williams, Tim Cook, and of course Williams leaving, Ternus is now taking over. I think this makes sense. Like we said, this is helping him get in front of other channels. But you know what? If he's the guy who hired Sebastian DeWitt, then I'll take it, because Halide, the makers of Halide Lux, is an excellent pro camera app, right? I love my default Apple apps, but this is one of the few third-party apps I actually keep on my phone because it gives you absolute control and very interesting features for the iPhone camera app. And the design is minimalistic like Apple, but better. It has all the controls you need at your fingertips, right? Like, it's very smartly done. And Sebastian DeWitt was a co-founder alongside Ben Sandofsky. And yep, I guess Sebastian DeWitt got acqui-hired, not acqui-hired because that would require a purchase. He got hired by Apple. He used to work at Apple on the Mobile Me iCloud team, and he also
I didn't know that. Right.
He also worked on Find My, and he helped with design elements back then. He's had posts in the past talking about coming up with the different like skeuomorphism kind of things back in the day, but I don't know if he was always design or if what he did in those departments, but now he is part of the Apple design team, which is very interesting. And he even changed his bio to say Apple design. So very interesting. I reached out to Ben Sandofsky to ask because I knew that as Apple does, once you become part of Apple, you disappear publicly. Yeah. So getting a hold of Sebastian DeWitt, I felt like would be impossible. So I reached out to Ben, and he told me not to worry. Lux isn't going anywhere. Halide's not going anywhere. In fact, they just announced Halide Mark III, and they've partnered with Icon Factory for some design elements. And I think the icon, and they're also collaborating with a colorist named Cullen Kelly. So for different aspects of the camera app. So 10 years of Halide, and he says that they're going to continue. And I mean, I know that he has a couple of employees there. I think Katie Rose. There's one other person, I believe, who's escaping me. But I'm glad to hear that team's going on. They're excited for Sebastian Witt's move. And good news all around.
This episode is brought to you by Tempo. Fresh, chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals that are delivered right to your door. Now, I would like to tell you that I never do New Year's resolutions, but that's chiefly because by this point in January, I've kind of broken them all. Except I am still working on this. I am still looking to eat more healthily, although saying that aloud sounds more like I'm watching my weight and I'm willing to live on salads. Only one of those things is true. The reality, wait, let's not go there. But the thing is, just like you, I spend the entire week just running around. It's common for me to be in our kitchen after a 12-hour working day, and by then, probably just opening the fridge and eating anything I can see that doesn't need long in the microwave. The thing is, Tempo kind of does all that. It provides meals that you can cook in 2 minutes. The thing is, they're not snacks and they're not takeaways. They are actual proper meals. Tempo delivers nutrient-packed meals that are already cooked. So the speed is great. The taste. I'm looking at a pasta bake recipe as I talk to you, and I so want it. Plus, the portions are just right, and I don't know how else to say this. This is real food. It's also real food in 20 new recipes every week. Maria Sharapova swears by Tempo. And, I'm exactly as athletic as she is, clearly. Look, there are Tempo meals for her, for me, and so surely also for you. For a limited time, Tempo is offering listeners 60% off their first box. Go to tempomeals.com/AppleInsider. That's tempomeals.com/AppleInsider for 60% off your first box. tempomeals.com/AppleInsider. Rules and restrictions may apply, but thanks to Tempo for supporting the Apple Insider podcast. I'm trying to remember the name of who else was Evan Handley, wasn't it? Didn't she? When Johnny, I've got to say, maybe Johnny Ive is now long enough ago that when you start saying when I've left, I think it's you for a minute. I've rather. He was placed by Alan Dye, and I think Evan Handley, and she went quite a while ago. I don't know where to. It's just interesting that that's a particular division of Apple and what happens next with all
design
of that.
Is so important, but I really hope that I mean, obviously he's part of the design team. There's multiple facets to it. I really hope that he can put some of his magic into Apple's camera app. It needs work. It needs UI work, but also just in general, I think he's a good designer, and I'm excited to see what he does at the company. And I don't know that we'll see anything specific from him in iOS 27. Maybe if there's a redesigned camera app, we can nod in his direction. It's not too late, so to speak, for something like a specific component like a camera app design to change by WWDC. Obviously, nothing major is going to happen between now and then, but because June is not far away, and they're locking that stuff in. They'll begin filming the keynote in like April. So
actually, that reminds me, there was a sudden rumor this week about a possible hardware change. It was suggested that Apple is considering adding a teleconverter to the iPhone 18 Pro. And just like you, I know that a big change can't happen this late, but maybe in the future. What is a teleconverter? So some sort of magnifying lens, I think.
And this is the problem with a lot of photography. Different phrases can be used for the same product. But it sounds like this would just be a physical sensor improvement to the telephoto lens.
When I read about it, it seemed to me that it was like, isn't it a Moment that does or did, I don't know which, put a lens on the outside to change the zoom?
There's several companies that do that now, but yes, right. Moment was one of them.
So Apple would be somehow wedging something else inside. Where do they find the room?
Well, I don't know if they would wedge anything inside, or if this would be, I don't know the specifics it's calling for, but it sounds like it could be an alternative to the tetraprism system for telephoto photography. Right. But again, I may be wrong about that. This may be lens related, so
I can tell you it's like one little shard of a rumor that came out and no one else talked about except this one Smart Pikachu on Chinese social media site Weibo has said it, along with a story saying that a variable aperture is confirmed. I don't know how strong a confirmed that is, but I keep hearing about variable aperture. So I'd believe that one.
We're highly expectant of variable aperture. I think that is like an absolute. It's only going to be on the main camera, but I think that'll be really interesting. I think camera control will get its heyday for this feature because this is, controlling the quote unquote zoom, because all you're really doing is switching lenses and switching how you're using those lenses. That feels a little fake, and the dial on the screen is better for that, honestly. But I think camera control being used to control the focus will make this feature much better.
You do a lot more photography than I do, but you actually, because of you, I'm taking more. So I'm keen to see what happens as well. Yeah.
So speaking of the future iPhones, we saw a mock-up, poorly done. Funny, maybe it wasn't poorly done. This is a debate, but we saw an off-centered, smaller dynamic island shown by a leaker, and cool. I centered it in my mock-up because I don't think it's going to be off-center, but who knows? The camera, I don't know if anyone pays this much attention, but the selfie camera is not centered on the iPhone. So this could be the reason why. But even more silly, the selfie camera is on the left side, so it wouldn't be off-center to the right, which is what this mock-up was showing.
Right.
So
okay, I'm following this, but okay.
I think they just messed up the mock-up.
Or you were looking at it from behind. I don't know.
This Ice Universe.
Yeah.
I want to point out something that some dots I connected that others have connected, but I didn't until after the previous episode. But John Prosser's leak, we now understand how he came to that conclusion, but he came to a very wrong conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
He's seen the part that was leaked. You use this as an image in our podcast last
the
week.
Face ID module, I think the camera module or something, yeah.
But the module, he got backwards somehow. He saw the camera as being on the left side of the module, but that's the Face ID module.
All right.
With a gap in the middle.
Very easy to do.
So,
right.
Well, no, because the camera looks like a camera. So, but that's fair. It is not the greatest image in the world of this product. But anyway, like it's he. We now kind of understand that mock-up that he made in that whole video is just outright wrong. Apple is not going to put the selfie camera on the left side or whatever off center of the iPhone. It will still be in the center. The Face ID components, though, are going to be moved from the center to a corner. It doesn't matter because it's blasting you with infrared. And that the camera will remain basically where it is. There's a gap in the middle. And so maybe this is what Prosser got right, but it's obvious that gap exists because of the new sensors in the rear camera and the variable aperture system. So that all checks out. It's just the mock-ups that Prosser showed are wrong, and I'm leaning towards Ice Universe here. If we do get anything, it's going to be a smaller dynamic island.
Although John Prosser is being sued by Apple over leaks. Is this his way of laying some pipe to say later, clearly, I don't have internal access or something. I get it wrong.
I don't think that's how self-sabotage works, but
okay.
doesn't. Hey, I'm the leaker who gets things wrong is not the identity you want to have.
True. All right.
Although sadly, Prosser is the leaker that gets things wrong. He is firmly as unreliable as some rando on Twitter at this point, at least in my opinion, because the things he's willing to run with and basically not vet makes me incredulous of everything he says, because if he's willing to air Steve Jobs glasses, Legacy Edition, or flat-sided Apple Watch, then what is he also getting wrong? And so, yeah, it's not a good place to be in. I do feel bad for Prosser. He was better when he had a YouTube channel that did really good filmography and just did Apple News. Like if he just did that and his weird Toilet Squad thing that he does, he would have an audience and he would be fine. I'm not going to watch it, but this rumor thing and this begging for attention. Anyway, we're not going to talk about Prosser. Apple Intelligence. No, we're not going to talk about Apple Intelligence because this doesn't have anything to do with that. This has to do with AI, right? So we're going to wrap up this episode. Got a couple of quick topics here. Yeah. We saw ChatGPT get this integration through an API call, not Apple. Apple didn't make this. This was OpenAI making this. You can give your Apple Health data to ChatGPT and it will parse it for you and it will give you like a grade on your health, apparently. Turns out this is all, BS. I wanted to curse, but doesn't work. We knew it wasn't going to work, but now ChatGPT just has all your health data. So that's wonderful. But basically, people testing this, if you just keep asking it over and over again for a health score, it'll just give you a different score every time. Because it's not deterministic. AI is not deterministic. It will never. Anyway, it just don't do this. Also, in AI news, there are still Notify apps in the App Store. Some of them are disguised. Some of them are just outright, hey, you can do this with this app. And they're just there and getting through the approval process, which is clearly mostly automated. Apple removes those apps as they find them, but still they shouldn't be getting there in the first place. It's not a very good look when you're basically going to regulators saying, in order for us to operate as a company, we need to have control of the App Store. And here we are. But this gets us into a very brief controversy corner. I don't want us to run long this week. We're very quickly approaching an hour. So if you're listening and you have no desire to get into this, skip ahead. William, do you have any opinions about this particular situation?
Well, the particular situation must be Tim Cook having to sit through being invited to the White House screening of Melania. When I heard he was going and he was there, how does your mind work? I genuinely felt sorry for the guy having to do this. But of course, the thing is, how could I possibly even for a moment forget this? That was the same. It was hours after the second person was killed by ice, and
Yes.
this seems to be in straw, camelback. People have mocked Tim Cook before for the golden trophy stuff like that, but this time he was really getting slammed for attending more than anybody else who went.
The CEO of OpenAI gave Trump $25 million. So,
Wow.
and Cook attended a movie. I understand the whole thing around this. It feels hypocritical. Apple stands on these foundations. They celebrate Martin Luther King Day, put his image on the website, and every time Cook is in association with Trump at all, it feels more and more fake and hypocritical because that is not what the company stands for. But here at Apple Insider, we observe these things over a long period of time, and we've seen Apple do these same things with China. We've seen them do the same things with other countries and leaderships that are behaving in these manners. It's not an easy job to have, but Cook, I think, is doing a good job of walking this weird line of keeping Trump satisfied, because Trump now gets to say, look, Apple's here with me. But you go to Cupertino and Apple has changed nothing about its business. Not a single iota. Except the public image is being harmed. And Apple, one of Apple's most important products is its public image.
Yes, wasn't it recently voted the most trusted company again for the 19th or 20th year in a row? And I think in most cases deservedly so. But
so I want to, we don't need to get into it. His name is Alex Preddy. Alex Preddy. Yeah. So I just want to say, right, that was horrific. And our administration lied about what happened, as the same thing they did with Good, terrible, terrible situation. And even as the administration says they're backing out of Minnesota, there's no evidence of that. In fact, they've increased their presence. There's 3,000 ICE people there. They're waiting outside of school bus stops to grab parents who are trying to get their kids from school, right? There's a 5-year-old in prison in Texas right now, right? It's incredibly disturbing what's going on. And Tim Cook happened to have been invited, didn't reject it, showed up, and while he was already there, Alex Preddy's murder occurs. And I don't know what you do in that situation. Tim, maybe this is one of those times where Tim should have just pulled the plug and said, sorry, I have another commitment. Clearly the administration should have canceled the screening. That should have been the correct answer here. But he didn't. He stayed. And there are photos of him with various evil, mean people, and Cook is smiling, and people are like, look at him. And my answer here is, once again, we all hate this. I hate this. I don't want Cook to have to do this. I don't like that it's a requirement, but it is a requirement. And I want Apple to continue operating as it is. I'm aware of Apple's power here as a global entity, as this rich entity, literally has a seat at the dinner table by the president. I get it, has that position. Cook even released this internal memo that was clearly going to leak, saying he was heartbroken about the situation, that he spoke to the president about it and was glad that the president was open to discussion over these matters, which I don't think is incorrect. Trump loves talking about this stuff. Whether or not he's going to do anything about it is a different story. There were very empty words. So it was a very disappointing moment once again for Tim Cook and Apple in this situation. But I will say once again here, we can move on. I think as fans, it's a tough situation, but this too shall pass. I personally separate what's going on from Apple because Apple has separated itself, and I know that's tough because you want to blame them. You need someone to blame. You need someone to be angry at. Be angry at the administration. Be angry at what they're doing and putting ourselves in this situation. Be angry that Tim Cook isn't doing something about it, even though he probably has some power to do something. But also understand, pure pragmatic, logical side of things, Tim is doing the correct thing from a business perspective. He's keeping Apple out of it, They get to operate as is. They continue to have DEI. They're celebrating Black History Month. They released the Unity Band. They're going to have a Pride Band in June. They're still, supporting their trans workers. All of that is true, but we can also be upset that Cook is doing what he's doing. The thing is, and I'll close with this, I see people saying, well, I'm just going to give up Apple. I think that's silly because your other options are the companies who are bending over backwards to change their companies to fit within Trump's agenda. Whereas Apple is attending a movie, right? So I understand that it's all bad, but in this situation, we really do have to pick the lesser of two evils. And if you're going to
Sorry.
if you're going to vote with your wallet, my advice would be, if you really need to do something, don't go throw your MacBook in the trash can. Keep what you have and just don't buy the new thing for a little while. And then when this passes and your conscience is clear, you can finally spend your money, or you can justify it in some way. But skip an iPhone, skip a Mac, vote that way, because moving to another platform, not ideal. I mean, Microsoft has to do this because they have this data, but like we just found out they're handing over encryption keys to the FBI, but it's because they have the keys, right? Apple doesn't. That's the difference. But that's what I'm getting at, right? Where are you going to really be other than moving into a cave in the woods, which I guess is an option. So
I'm very unhappy about everything, but you said about, you mentioned DEI in there and the fact that Apple has kept that and others haven't. That actually brings me around to your point. But let's say that's the end of Controversy Corner, because there's one last thing you were going to talk about, and I'm really keen to know about the Apple C series modem. What I understand is that there's something in it that's privacy related, and I don't understand how. It's a modem. What can it do?
So this is interesting. We don't have all the details yet, even because Apple does have a page about it, but it's very limited in detail on how this actually works. But Apple now makes its own modem. It's the C1, the C1X. C1 is in the iPhone 16e. C1X is in the iPhone Air and the iPad Pro. That is it. So the iPhone 17 Pro that I have does not have this feature, but I'm sure the 18 will. So I'm excited about it. But as of 26.3, you will get a new feature called Limit Precise Location. Now, what this does is, correct me if I'm wrong, this might be the last line of defense as far as privacy goes for Apple users. We have app tracking transparency for the web. We have these lockdown modes and fully encrypted iClouds, where even the photo, like the FBI can't even get access to our photos and stuff anymore. There's no access to encryption keys. We have obfuscated location data, so even apps that get your location get generalized location, like so on and so forth. Contacts, like Apple has nailed down almost every area in the phone and around it and services for user privacy and data. Even Apple iCloud Private Relay helps keep you private when you're using the internet through your internet service provider. Can still see what you're doing, but it's obfuscating some of the websites you're visiting, almost like a VPN. The websites don't know where you are because you're getting a more generalized geographic location data that way through your IP address, right? So every facet. There is one left, William, and that was the modem reporting exactly which cell tower you're connecting to and your precise location through that connection. Now, there's multiple ways this is done. I don't think it's GPS. I believe this doesn't have anything to do with triangulation either. I do believe that cell services will still have the ability to check and see which towers you're connected to and determine, like, within a neighborhood region of where you are. But what was happening before this feature is they could pretty much get down to the house you're sitting in. And the limit precise location feature does exactly what it sounds like. It prevents your cellular provider from being able to get your exact location, which would then be provided to, say, authorities or hackers who broke into your ISP or whatever. So this is all around a good feature.
Sorry, you're talking about lines of defense there, and this has put something else in my mind. The new US version of TikTok is apparently trying to get really precise data,
Yes.
even though the old TikTok didn't. Would this type of thing block that as well?
This is completely separate. Apple's systems already prevent TikTok from doing that. You have to.
Oh, great.
There are 3 levels of privacy that you have to go through to give TikTok your precise location. You have to give it your location, then you have to go into settings and give it your precise location, and then turn it to always allow. And it only appears after a certain set. Like, it is really hard to get permanent location in an app now. Apple's done that on purpose for this reason.
Good. Okay.
Google not so much, but again, leaving Apple for multiple reasons, not just that we're outside of that. But let me just say this. This is an interesting feature of the modem. I think we're going to see more features. This is vertical integration. Apple couldn't do this with a Qualcomm modem previously. And I guess since you brought it up, we'll close out with this. TikTok, the purchase went through. Larry Ellison owns 15% of it, right? There's multiple U.S. companies who own portions of it, and then 50% is owned by investors, and then like 19.9%, the legal maximum, is still owned by ByteDance in China. A algorithm transition is quote unquote taking place, but TikTok now denies that they're actually doing that, and that the reason why there was basically what happened on TikTok is a bunch of people's videos view counts went to 0, and it became impossible to upload new videos. And it seemed to some users that some words were being censored in chats. There's a lot of wishy-washy stuff around this, and it seems technologically related more so than aggressive algorithms. But we won't know until we finally get to the point where TikTok's like, okay, now the algorithm's here, and then we'll have to test it. So right now, all we can say is it's probably related to a data center outage, which is TikTok's claim, but I'll take that with a grain of salt. Let's see where this ends up. But I will finally say we have seen a huge influx of users coming to places like Blue Sky and the app Skylight, which is Blue Sky's TikTok-like app. You get to scroll through vertical video, and it has an interface similar to TikTok. Lots of new users there, lots of unique content coming there. And there's alternatives like Upscrolled, a third-party app, which to me looks more like Instagram than TikTok, but that has been another third-party app that's become popular since TikTok's change in the United States. So we'll see where all that goes. We'll be reporting on it here. But William, anything else before we close out?
Well, only that this is normally the point when you ask where everybody can find us. And in my case, one of the answers is now TikTok, except I have not one thin clue what my address is there. I've made some YouTube shorts. I thought, why not? I go on TikTok. They seem to be doing all right. I can't tell. So it's possible. It might be my name, William Gallagher, but William at AppleInsider.com is easy. 58 keys. Good point. Yes, that's the name of my YouTube channel. If I didn't use that for TikTok, I should have done. I will look into it. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, obviously creators like you gotta pretty much push everywhere these days, and it's not the worst idea to try, but hey, we'll see where this whole thing ends up in a couple weeks if your videos even work. I obviously, did you say William at AppleInsider.com for email?
Yeah.
So I'm on Blue Sky. You can reach me there. Mastodon, of course, still accessible via Mastodon. I don't really post there that often. You can email me, Wes at AppleInsider.com. And you can reach out through Apple Podcasts, leave a review, and we'll read it here. Doesn't matter if it's 5 stars, 1 star. We like to share what our listeners think here on the show. No new reviews this week. So get out there. If you haven't left a review, give us one. We'd love to hear from you and share it here on the show. Apple Insider Plus is coming up. We're going to be discussing Apple's responsibility surrounding Sherlocking and what it should and shouldn't be doing in this situation. We'll probably get into the Camo lawsuit a little bit. So stick around for that if you're a subscriber. If you are a subscriber, you can subscribe. You're subscribing either through Patreon or Apple Podcasts, and you're getting an ad-free experience. But if you're not, then you're going to hear about our sponsors, Copilot Money, Squarespace, and Tempo. Thank you once again for sponsoring the show. And I think that's it for the week. Let us know what you thought. Reach out, please, and we will talk to you next week.